Have you ever considered the profound impact the Civil War has had on our society and how it's been depicted in cinema? The Civil War, a pivotal period in American history, has left an indelible mark on our culture and national psyche. It was a time of intense conflict, transformation, and ultimately, reconciliation. This era has been a rich source of inspiration for filmmakers who have used their craft to explore the complexities and nuances of this tumultuous time. And among these cinematic explorations, a standout is the A24 Civil War film. This film doesn't simply retell historical events. It delves into the human experience of the Civil War, the struggles, the victories, the losses. It's an exploration of a time when the fabric of a nation was torn apart and painstakingly stitched back together. So let's delve deeper into the A24 film and see how it unravels the complexities of the Civil War. Imagine yourself in the mid-19th century America, a nation torn apart by a brutal civil war. Picture a land of contrasts, where the promise of freedom and the grim reality of bondage coexist. A time when the United States was neither united nor at peace, but rather a battleground of ideologies, ambitions, and loyalties. The seeds of this conflict were sown early in the nation's history. The American Revolution had barely ended when the first discordant notes were struck. The North, with its burgeoning industries and growing cities, was evolving into a society fueled by wage labor. The South, on the other hand, was a predominantly agrarian economy, dependent on the institution of slavery. These disparate paths of development created deep economic, social, and political rifts. As the decades rolled on, the rifts turned into chasms. The Missouri Compromise of 1820, the nullification crisis in South Carolina, the Mexican-American War, and the infamous Dred Scott decision, all these events stoked the flames of division, setting the stage for the inevitable clash. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 was the straw that broke the camel's back. His anti-slavery stance was viewed as a direct threat by the southern states. Fearful for their way of life, they started seceding from the Union one by one, and thus the Civil War was ignited, ripping the nation apart. In the midst of this chaos, we find a society grappling with profound changes. The Industrial Revolution was reshaping the economy and the social fabric. The women's rights movement was gaining momentum. The abolitionist movement was challenging the moral underpinnings of slavery. And the concept of manifest destiny was pushing the boundaries of the nation westward. It was a time of turmoil, transformation, and tragedy. A time when the very soul of the nation was at stake. A time when brother fought against brother and the ideals of liberty and equality were put to the ultimate test. This tumultuous backdrop is where our A24 film begins its narrative. With this understanding, we can now delve deeper into the characters, their struggles, and how they navigate their world in the throes of the Civil War. A war story is incomplete without its characters, and the A24 film presents an interesting array of personalities. The first character that we meet is Captain John, a Southern aristocrat turned Confederate officer. His struggle is twofold. He's fighting for his homeland, yes, but he's also grappling with the moral implications of his allegiance. His loyalty to the South conflicts with his personal belief in equality, painting a picture of the internal conflicts many faced during the Civil War. On the other side of the spectrum, we have Private Thomas, a Union soldier from humble beginnings. Thomas's motivation is simple. He's fighting to end slavery, but his struggle isn't just on the battlefield. He's also battling the classism within his own ranks, showing us another dimension of the war, the fight for respect and dignity within the Union itself. In the middle of these two extremes, we find Mary, a nurse from the North working in a Confederate hospital. Mary's struggle is perhaps the most poignant. She's torn between her allegiance to the Union and her duty to help the wounded, regardless of their affiliation. Her character gives us a glimpse into the humanitarian crisis that the Civil War precipitated. And let's not forget Samuel, a freed slave fighting for the Union. His struggle is the most personal. He's not just fighting against the Confederacy. He's fighting against the very institution that once claimed ownership over him. His character embodies the struggle for freedom and the personal cost of war. Each of these characters represents a different facet of the Civil War. Captain John's moral dilemma, Private Thomas's fight against classism, Mary's struggle with her duty, and Samuel's personal battle for freedom all reflect the various perspectives and complexities of the Civil War. In the heart of war, these characters navigate their own personal battles, mirroring the larger conflict that engulfs the nation. Films are a collection of scenes, each carrying its own weight in the narrative. The A24 film is no exception. In our deep dive into the A24 film Civil War, let's break down and analyze 3 key scenes that stand out for their contribution to the overall narrative, character development, and thematic exploration of the Civil War. The first scene we delve into is the Battle of Antietam. This scene is a masterpiece of storytelling, setting the stage for the true horrors of war. It's not just about the physical battles, but the emotional and mental struggles that the soldiers endure. The raw, visceral depiction of war is not meant to glorify the battle, but to expose its harsh realities. This scene, in particular, serves to humanize the soldiers, showing them not as mere pawns in a larger political game, but as individuals with their own hopes, dreams, and fears. It's a stark reminder of the personal cost of war, a theme that resonates throughout the film. Next, let's consider the scene where our protagonist, John, receives a letter from his wife back home. This moment, though devoid of any physical action, is laden with emotional weight. The letter, filled with mundane details of life back home, serves as a stark contrast to the violence and chaos of the war front. It's a poignant reminder of what John is fighting for and what he stands to lose. This scene contributes significantly to John's character development, showing his vulnerability and humanizing him in the face of the dehumanizing war. It also highlights the dichotomy of the Civil War, the peaceful home front versus the violent battlefront, and the struggle to reconcile these two realities. The third scene that deserves special attention is the climactic confrontation between John and his brother on opposing sides of the war. This scene is a powerful exploration of the complexities and contradictions of the Civil War. It's a war that pits brother against brother, tearing families and the nation apart. The scene is fraught with tension as personal and political loyalties clash. The raw emotion of the confrontation serves to underscore the personal cost of the war, adding depth and complexity to both characters and the narrative. It's a scene that encapsulates the central theme of the film: the brutal and divisive nature of the Civil War. Each of these scenes carries its own weight in the narrative, contributing to the overall storytelling of the film. They serve to humanize the characters, expose the brutal realities of war, and explore the complexities and contradictions of the Civil War. They are not just mere moments in the film, but are integral parts of the narrative fabric, each adding a layer of depth and complexity to the story. The Battle of Antietam scene sets the tone for the film, exposing the harsh realities of war and humanizing the soldiers. The letter scene provides a contrast to the violence of the war front, reminding us of what's at stake and adding depth to John's character. The confrontation scene explores the personal and political complexities of the Civil War, adding tension and emotional weight to the narrative. These scenes are not just about advancing the plot or developing the characters. They are about exploring the themes and ideas central to the film. They delve into the brutality and complexity of the Civil War, the personal cost of war, and the struggle to reconcile personal and political loyalties. They paint a vivid picture of the Civil War, not just as a historical event, but as a human experience fraught with pain, loss, and conflict. Through these scenes, the A24 film paints a vivid picture of the Civil War, capturing its brutality, complexity, and its lasting impact on the American psyche. It's a film that doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of war, but instead confronts them head-on, exploring the human cost and complexities of the Civil War. It's a film that reminds us that behind every war are individuals with their own hopes, dreams, fears, and struggles. In the end, it's a film about the human experience set against the backdrop of one of the most brutal and divisive periods in American history. Beyond the surface narrative, the A24 film employs various themes and symbols that add depth to its depiction of the Civil War. One of the major themes explored in the film is that of freedom. It's not just about the physical freedom from slavery, but also the emotional freedom from fear, prejudice, and hatred. This theme is beautifully depicted through the struggles and triumphs of the characters as they navigate the complexities of their realities. Next, we have sacrifice, a theme that is intricately woven into the very fabric of the film. From soldiers sacrificing their lives on the battlefield to families giving up their comfort and safety for the cause, the film paints a poignant picture of the true cost of war. It's not just about the loss of lives, but also the sacrifice of innocence, peace, and happiness. Unity, too, is a powerful theme that echoes throughout the film. Despite the stark division of the Civil War, the film highlights moments of unity and solidarity among the characters, reminding us that even in the most divisive times, there is a shared humanity that binds us together. Now let's talk about symbolism. The film is filled with powerful symbols that enhance the storytelling. For instance, the recurring motif of chains not only represents the physical shackles of slavery, but also the metaphorical chains of prejudice and fear. The breaking of these chains, both literal and figurative, symbolizes the character's journey towards freedom. The use of light and darkness also plays a symbolic role in the film. Light often represents hope, truth, and freedom, while darkness symbolizes fear, ignorance, and oppression. The interplay of light and darkness throughout the film adds a layer of visual symbolism that complements the narrative. These themes and symbols enrich the film's narrative, making it a nuanced portrayal of the Civil War. They invite us to look beyond the surface-level events and delve into the deeper meanings and implications of the Civil War, truly enhancing our appreciation of this A24 masterpiece. As we conclude our exploration of the A24 film, let's summarize what we've learned. Our journey began with the historical backdrop of the Civil War, a time of upheaval and change that has left an undeniable imprint on the fabric of our society. The A24 film, through its intricate storytelling, paints an immersive picture of this tumultuous era, allowing us to delve into the complexities of the period with fresh eyes. We then dove into the heart of the film, its characters. Each one, meticulously crafted, carries the weight of their struggles, embodying the human aspects of the Civil War. From the soldier grappling with the horrors of the battlefield to the families torn apart by the conflict, the film brings these characters to life in a way that is both poignant and profound. Our discussion led us to dissect key scenes that serve as turning points in the narrative. These moments, rich in detail and emotion, offer a deeper understanding of the characters and the challenges they face. They are the pivotal points that drive the story forward, revealing the harsh realities and the enduring spirit of those caught in the throes of war. Finally, we examined the major themes and symbols woven into the film. These elements, subtly incorporated into the narrative, resonate with the viewer, prompting introspection and discussion. They are the threads that bind the story together, from the overarching theme of transformation and resilience to the symbols that underscore the stark contrasts of the Civil War era. As we wrap up, it's evident that the A24 film is more than just a Civil War movie. It's a deep dive into a time of turmoil and transformation, a lens through which we can better understand our past and its impact on our present. And in doing so, it invites us to reflect on our own perceptions and narratives, challenging us to think beyond the confines of history. The A24 film is not just a Civil War movie, it's a deep dive into a time of turmoil and transformation, a lens through which we can better understand our past and its impact on our present.